Hello and welcome to the Nova Show. My name is Karla Rivera and I will be your host for today's episode. Today I am with Ellie Corona. She's a bilingual realtor in Utah with a very unique background in dental assisting and cosmetology. Ellie's passion for helping others is rooted in her commitment to truly listen to her clients and have an exceptional service. She is a first generation immigrant and is dedicated to inspire others, including her kids and clients. And so we're going to dive a little deeper into her journey. So Ellie, thank you for being here. I know you, but please tell us a little bit about your background and what brought you to real estate.
Thank you for inviting me, first off and foremost. And so the reason I came on my background, I did cosmetology just straight out of high school. It was something that I've always had a passion for beauty and like just anything that is beauty related, from fashion to hair to makeup, like all the things. But it wasn't really something that I loved. The reason I actually ended up in that, it was because at the time I didn't actually have my legal status put together. And so it was a way out of me being able to just work on a regular business or job, because I knew I couldn't get one, right? I was limited by that number.
Yeah.
So that's why I did that. It wasn't something that I absolutely loved and I wanted to pursue forever. And then before that, in high school, I actually did the dental assisting. But again, it was part of the same thing. I couldn't really do anything with it. And then when I actually got pregnant, I was looking for a house myself. I then started talking to a realtor. The realtor that I spoke with, he actually was just okay with writing up a contract and telling me, hey, here's the contract, sign it. Didn't explain anything to me. And so I ended up firing him.
Okay. So do you feel like that was a big impact as far as how you wanted the experience to be?
Yeah. So I actually shortly thereafter ended up representing myself on the purchase of my own house. Still not yet licensed. And so, yeah, I definitely did.
So you were meant for the job. You took it on before you even got your license.
Yes, I did learn a lot of things, trial and error, right? But yeah, that's pretty much what brought me onto real estate. Is just feeling like somebody is handing over a paper to you without explaining anything of what it means. What are the numbers? What are you negotiating for me? What does this, like, what am I signing off on? And
I think it's a lot of big decisions.
Yeah, I think it was really important for me to be able to understand what I was signing. And I'm a person of reading contracts. So I read through the entire thing, but I didn't understand it because obviously I'm not an agent. And so that's what led me into real estate. And I just wanted to be able to provide a service that I didn't receive when I actually ended up hiring somebody to provide that service for me.
Wow. Well, that's really powerful. And I wonder if that's why you are so passionate about listening to your clients and that being the key component of how you service them.
Yeah.
So on that note, I mean, I know you and I know how much attention to detail you bring to everything you do, but tell us a little bit more about that, like what you're doing with your pop buys, your retention for your clients, and when you do have your clients, how you work with them to represent them in the way that you wish you would have been represented.
So I do work a lot with the Hispanic community. And I definitely do take the time to, even if they're not Hispanic, non-Hispanic, or Hispanic, whatever, I don't care. I want to always make sure that I go through every single one of the contracts and that they fully understand what exactly it is that they're signing.
And I know you're fully bilingual, right? Yes. So you take the time to explain that.
Yeah, even though the forms are actually in English, we don't have any in Spanish, yes. But yeah, I do go over the entire contract and I explain everything of what every single one of those things means. Just because, like I said, I went through it, and I don't want anybody to ever feel like I'm just trying to make a transaction, because ultimately that's nothing for them. Looking out for their best interest for mine, because that's what we're supposed to do, right? So
I love that. Yeah, I love that that's true to you.
Yeah.
And do you feel like being a first generation immigrant plays a role in how you understand your clients, specifically the ones that speak Spanish anyway?
I think it does, because sometimes they don't feel comfortable with other people knowing their situation, their circumstance. You live under a shadow, right? When you don't
and you've
have
been through it,
status.
you know the process and everything.
Exactly. And so that's another thing, is that I really like to look for loans or any programs that are going to be beneficial for people who don't have a social, because sometimes before, when I first started on real estate, the loans were so expensive. It was like 25% down.
And couldn't find anything.
And on top of that, their rates were excessively high. So I'm always looking for programs that are going to be able to facilitate that, because that is the American dream. They came here for that,
And where are you from? I think you had told me that, and I don't know that everybody knows where you're from.
So I was originally born in El Estado de Mexico, which is also known as El Distrito Federal now, I think.
I think they changed it.
Yeah. I'm not really sure, but my mom was actually born in Hidalgo. So
Okay. But this is in Mexico.
Yep. So that's kind of where we're from. So kind of the central part of Mexico.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay, well, being bilingual, I see that as a huge advantage, but how do you leverage your cultural background and let that also drive your business?
Being bilingual, I think it just, again, I think people just feel really comfortable with you, being able to understand them in their own language, being able to communicate everything, being able to translate because my mom has never really, she didn't come here knowing the language. I actually, a lot of the times, was the one interpreting for her, even for job interviews.
Yeah.
I was that child.
And do you think it goes beyond the language, or just speaking, being bilingual is great?
I think there's a culture with it too.
Okay. So tell me a little more about that. I myself am also Hispanic, but I want to hear your side of it.
I feel like when you are bilingual, there's a culture that comes with it. You understand what the needs of others are. They oftentimes like to sometimes they want to be there with, like, next to you, and know that you're there for them, and that feel that warmth that you're going to be, they want to be a person to person.
Okay.
I feel like it's not just necessarily always online. I don't know. I just feel like it's a culture, and I feel like they understand me as I understand them. And
because you do live the culture, do you still have like things you practice in your family? And
I try.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like this last year, I tried, 2023. It was my first year that I actually did El Dia de Muertos. I've never done that. But I try to do it because.
So tell us what El Dia de Muertos is. I know what it is, but yeah.
So for El Dia de Muertos, you do basically a sanctuary of those that have passed on. You put pictures of those that have passed on in your family, or sometimes even extended family, or your pets. So you then put like candy or drinks or food or anything that they may have liked, and there comes a time frame where they're supposed to come and eat whatever you have placed there for
like a
them.
celebration.
Yeah, it's a celebration of life. So yeah, I try to do that this year. I don't know all the specifics because it's my first year doing it. But I had a reason to do it this time around, just because my grandfather just recently passed away last year. So I decided to implement it this year.
That's beautiful that you did that.
Yeah.
Well, and kind of speaking on challenging experiences, that brings up another thing. What are some of the recent challenges that you've experienced, whether it's with your bilingual clients or immigrant clients or just referrals, whatever it is you're getting, what if you could think of maybe the most recent one, and you can share how that was overcome with your strategic skills.
Challenges. I'm trying to think. I feel like most of everybody is going through the same challenge of, rates. Rates continue to be a big thing for most everybody.
Yeah.
A lot of sellers don't want to sell because they're stuck on a really good rate. But then you also have buyers that are willing and wanting to buy. However, they're just not qualifying because of the rates. The good thing is that we're hearing that rates are starting to slowly come down, and we're expected to see another drop here, hopefully around mid-September.
Awesome.
But those are, I think, some of the biggest challenges.
And how are you, what are the conversations you're having to help your clients see the light at the end or overcome it?
I think we ultimately want to focus on the end goal. Like, what is it that you want to do with this house? Is this an investment for you, or is this like a house that you're wanting to keep for a longer term? If the answer is that they're wanting to keep it for a longer term, then maybe a rate shouldn't necessarily be an issue.
Right.
Because you don't want to be buying when things are crazy all over again. We don't want to experience a 2020 situation. And we definitely have more people wanting to buy. Just rates are obviously limiting a lot of buyers right now. But once rates come down, then we're going to have a larger pool of buyers and a less amount of inventory. So I try to educate them in that sense. Like, you want to buy now, and at the end of the day, I think there is no perfect market. There is no perfect time. The perfect time is whenever that person is ready.
I love
so
that.
I think that's the biggest thing when people tell me it's like, oh, the rates or this or that. It's like, okay, what's important about that time frame? But how are we going to know what's going to happen then?
Sure.
But things are always
sounds
coming
like
up.
you're keeping your clients educated.
Yeah.
That's great. And staying conscious of when the right time is for them.
Yep. And I think that's really important, as ultimately when is the best time for you? Because the best time for you or for me, it could be different for anybody else.
Yeah, I can see that. Awesome. Well, and then I know you're balancing roles, right? You're a mother, you are doing real estate full time, and tell me a little bit about that, your day to day. And I've seen some of the ways that you nurture your clients, specifically your pop buys.
Yes.
And they are perfect, if perfect was a thing. So I do want you to talk about how you nurture and make those super intentional and the preparation behind it and all of that.
Yeah, so I feel like I'm really intentional with a lot of my things. How I balance it out, I think I have a village. I think I have a lot of support at home, and that's the reason why I'm able to do a lot of what I do. Now with
That's
kids,
great.
yeah, with kids now being in school, it just makes it a little bit more challenging, but it just means that we have to wake up earlier. Now our schedule is, I have my kids and everybody awake really early. We're on the road by 7:00 in the morning. And that's just usually my schedule with my kids, and then pickup time is also on me. But as far as my pop buys, I basically go based off of just whatever's going around in that time frame, whether if it's a birthday or if it's like Cinco de Mayo or if it's back to school, whatever it is. I don't just do it for pop buys, but I also implement that into my open houses. So I
nice.
don't actually do like the bagels and stuff like that anymore. I am more intentional with how I present myself, even at an open house. So that's a little bit of what I do with my pop buys and everything else that I do. Even door knocking.
Well, and that's kind of how we met, right? Like we met at a brokerage, and then we went door knocking together, and I was very impressed with your organization, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
okay, she will keep us organized in all the things, and I can imagine that plays a huge role with your clients. If I felt it, they must also feel that you're on top of things, super organized, and very much an attention to detail is what I got.
Yes, I definitely do try. I don't come up with all of the ideas on my own. I do try to keep myself educated and buy, purchase things that are going to educate me. I invest into my education, and I think that's where a lot of this is coming from. It's not just things that have been like ideas that have come to me overnight.
So what are some of the tools you're using for your growth, like for the education or the things you're using at your open houses, pop buys, all of it?
In reference to like programs?
Yeah.
Canva is like everything to me.
Yeah, I do love Canva.
Everything with Canva, but there are certain things that I don't do in Canva. I have to just buy out. There's several companies that I use. I don't just specifically stick to one. If I like something and I can make myself stand out, then I'm going to buy it. Whatever it is. I don't care if it's a sign that says open house, it looks different. Just really anything, honestly.
Well, and I know when we were talking about door knocking and things like that, you use Etsy and different things, but it was more the preparation, right? Like what it actually takes and all the intention behind it. So how far out are you preparing for things like that?
So last year it was the year that I just try to work with what I had. I started a little bit late, but at least a year.
Okay.
It's a year out is really what you want to do, ideally, to plan out for every single thing that you're going to do for the upcoming year and know exactly what it is that you're going to be doing as pop buys, what you're going to be doing as an appreciation event, or anything that you want to do for your clients.
So I know you're very strategic even with your budget, right? And you budget in your pop buys, open houses, all the things, not just your taxes. And I think we can all learn from that.
So the way that, and this goes back to the education and the investments that I've done in the education for my career. This is something that I've learned from one of those classes, and it is to separate 50% of that check. 50% of that is for yourself, and the other 50% should be divided between, like, the way I like to divide it is 30% for taxes, and then the other 20% for anything that's related to marketing. And this should be able to cover anything for marketing, from photography to pop buys to events.
So you're really investing back into your business. Okay.
Or even the educational classes that I take. Yeah. So those are the things I like to separate my personal from my business. I don't like to merge it all in one.
That's very smart.
Yeah. I had to learn it the hard way. But I'm glad that I did, because I feel like I'm starting to pick up my own rhythm, and I feel like it does work. And it doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, I'm spending all this money, and your personal account is starting to not feel like you feel as though your personal account is just not growing because you're spending all this money on your work stuff. But at the end of the day, it should never be merged. It should be divided.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. And you kind of already said this, but you're seeing that it's working. And, seeing it now, what are you visualizing for your future? Like, what is your goal for the end of this year, or where do you see your business going in the next 2 years?
I actually want to continue doing what I do, but I actually want to, I think, based on what it is that I'm already doing, I get so many questions about it, that I would like to implement something to bring a value, not just for buyers, but also for agents.
Oh, great. Well, I think everyone would be grateful to learn from you. I know I was very impressed with just how organized you are. And more than anything, you're so intentional. That's what stands out to me. When you meet with your clients, do you talk to them about, where you see things in the future? How are you setting that up, or where are you going to get your leads right now?
I think the majority of my leads are coming in from open houses. I have not even allowed, I've stopped doing the sign-on sheets.
Okay. Tell me Yeah, what?
I know it's a
Tell me
little
about
different.
this.
So I think for me, I actually sit there and talk to people. I'm a very conversant person, and I talk to people. I don't just let people walk through without actually asking all the questions, you know?
So what are some of the questions? Tell me
Like-
2 questions that you normally
Yeah,
default
like what
to.
brings you in? Are you a neighbor? Are you a neighbor, or are you like are you like? I'm trying to think of what I ask. Like what brings you in? Give me some feedback. And are you a neighbor? I think those are some of
Okay.
the questions that I typically do ask. That's where I kind of break
I
the
like
ice.
that they're not a yes or no. Like,
Yeah.
are you looking to buy? Because that's such a simple yes or no, and then it gives people the opportunity to just.
No, I talk, and I'm like, are you a neighbor? They're like, oh no, we just came by because our agent sent it to us, or we saw that you guys had an open house, or whatever the case might be. Oh, okay. So how long have you guys been looking? And so then I start the conversation from there. And, oh, that's great. So have you guys already been pre-qualified? And they may say yes or no. And based on that, I start gathering data, and then I hit them with something of value. Oh, by the way, did you guys know that there's this, and this, and that, or there's whatever programs or whatever I know
Yeah.
at the time, then I provide that of value to the client. And I've actually had people contact me rather than me chasing after the sign-on sheet.
Ooh, I love it. You don't chase, you attract.
So, and I don't think it's about chasing. I think it's the fact that you have to provide value. You have to sell yourself. It's not like, I don't even know how to put it into words, but you just don't want to like be that commission breath. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've
You
heard that.
ultimately want to be a person to help.
Well, and people feel your energy 100%. So
Like, be genuine.
if it sounds like you're very confident in the value you're bringing. So the fact that you've been able to get away from having those sign-in sheets because you know you're going to get a call is phenomenal. That in itself is something we can all take from this conversation. Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad we got to have this. I know all this, but I wanted other people to learn. And so where can people reach you, Ellie? Like, what are some platforms that you're on so that people can contact you?
I am on Instagram. I am on Facebook. I have a TikTok, but I don't really actively use it.
Okay.
What else am I on? My phone?
Yeah.
My email?
Of course. But, okay, so tell me your Instagram handle. I know it, but so that everybody else
Yeah.
can know.
So it is at miss.ms.butah, and it's spelled BEA, and then Utah, like our state, FUL.Homes.
Okay.
And that's pretty much everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, and everything else.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to ask you one more thing because I think it's important to know just the Ellie now versus the Ellie in the beginning of your career. If you could go back to yourself when you were getting started, what would be, I guess, the one thing you wish someone would have told you about the industry or just a piece of advice for you specifically?
Yeah, never give up more than you are receiving. I think that was one of the most hard lessons that I had to go through in my career.
Okay.
I feel like as a parent, as we touched on, sometimes it's easy to take out our stress on our children, and they are oftentimes our why. So when I have been stressed out and have taken some of this anger out on them, or just my frustrations, or even limiting that time away from my kids, I can't be discounting myself because I'm discounting my children, and they are my why. And I think that's the biggest thing that I would advise anybody starting up. Like, never discount yourself and give yourself that value, because those that you discount yourself for, or that you do the most for and your family receives the least for, are those that tend to be the least appreciative of what you've done for them.
Wow.
I know it's kind of deep.
Yeah, but no, that's incredible. And just kind of restating what you said. So it's not giving more than you're receiving, right?
Yeah, because you're giving time.
With your time. Yeah.
You're giving, everything that you give for your clients. Because for us, our clients are everything. They're the reason why we stay in this business. And it's so easy for us to bend backwards for them. But I think there comes a breaking point where you kind of have to separate that a little and not give more to them than what you're giving your own family. Because at the end of the day, our wives are, for most of us, is going to be our families. So,
well, I love that. And I'm happy you are finding that balance. So
I'm trying.
Yeah, you're doing great. I'm very impressed by you always. Thank you so much for doing this with me. And
I don't have anything else to share. I do want to thank you again for the opportunity to bring me on.
Of course.
And yep.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please rate us, like us, and share this podcast with our real estate community. The Nova Show Real Estate Record, sharing raw stories of real estate, failures, lessons, wins, and successes. This is all from Novation Title, bringing a different experience into your world so that we can all uplift each other. Until next time.